Tessa from Mama's Geeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. Hey Jack, how are you?
Hi, Tessa. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm in Hawaii, so, of course I'm great.
Oh, you are doing very well.
Yes, I am. I'm loving it.
Also, how dare you, ma'am?
I know.
Like right out of the gate, you're rubbing it in my face.
Well, I'm on vacation, but I'm taking time to talk to you, so.
Touche. Touche.
I've got to say, the show, I watched a few of the screeners with my kids. I have an 8 and a 10-year-old, and the 8-year-old really loves it, and I love that it resonates with like younger kids, but also older kids. So
Yeah.
can
Well, I'm so curious because I mean, like, we haven't had like focus group opportunities, so I was very curious to hear how your 8-year-old responded to it. Did
yeah.
they tune in? Because it's. I was worried that it was going to be too babyish for maybe an 8-year-old, but was he paying attention?
Oh, she loved it because I'll tell you the animal one. I think it was like the second episode, the Forever Home. She was just in. She's a big animal person. Like she wants to be a vet, so she loved that episode.
Oh, good. I know it was like we had it. It takes a village to get the show like us made, and so pet adoption was an early pitch, and so we're like, let's do it.
I love that you included that because I think that's such an important thing too, and to start kids off young with adopting animals. But can you talk a little bit about working with all those animals? I imagine working with animals is crazy.
It was a busy week. I'm not gonna lie, but it was lovely. We have anytime you're doing something like that, you have wranglers, and they were not only very good at their job, but just very gentle people, because we also had a bunch of children that we're working with.
True.
And this was early in our production schedule, so in a way we're also still kind of getting to know each other. But between everybody just being on top of their game, having pros, and also just fun, adorable animals, we got it done. Something, especially when we had to have all the animals together. I do remember the dog was very, very, very interested in the fuzzy rabbit. So we had to make sure we gave some distance there.
That's so funny you say that because we actually have 2 dogs and 2 rabbits as pets, and so I can see exactly. I can picture how that was going down.
I was like, let us not traumatize these children.
I know, the poor kids. Oh, that's so funny. Can you talk a little bit about how the idea for this show came about?
Absolutely. It came from a very personal place just in my life, when as I just started paying more attention to how people were treating each other, and I just couldn't help but notice a lack of compassion and a lack of civility and a lack of kindness. And so that got me thinking about some of the children's programs that I grew up with, and how that was kind of my early inspiration on learning about these social, emotional messages, these lessons of empathy and tolerance and patience and cooperation and all these positive things, and how they were instilled at a very early age. And like, what a shame that we really don't have too much of that programming happening right now. And based on how much I loved shows like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood from back in the day, I was like, well, let me try a version of this. Let me see if I can invoke that spirit and that message, in a preschool show for 2021.
Yeah, well, it's great, and I think a lot of social media. I don't know if it's people just feel like they can type things behind a screen and nobody sees them, but we are lacking that just being nice to each other.
I agree. It feels like a lost art, but I'm curious to see if we can't just help each other remind each other of the benefits of it. And in a way, I'm just like, well, what's it going to hurt? Can we at least try? So we'll see.
Right. Yeah, I know. Well, I know my girls, they have like social emotional class in school once a week.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
class. Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm happy to hear that. I didn't know that was, I don't have kids in my house, so I don't know what curriculum goes on these days or anything like that. So I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna let that teacher know about this show too, for sure.
Please.
So, but yeah, so it's funny you mentioned Mr. Rogers. I was almost within 10 minutes was like, this feels like different, but like it really reminds me of Mr. Rogers. I don't know if it's the whole like coming out of the house at the beginning or what, but
Right.
how big of an inspiration did that show have on this or other shows?
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was a huge inspiration for this show, and so much was when I would watch that program, I that individual was speaking directly to me through the screen, and no matter what you felt about it, I I felt that I was being seen and cared for and understood, and I wanted to really and truly capture that feeling for this show. Now, I make no pretense. I am no Fred Rogers, but I wanted to pay homage or really just borrow some of my favorite aspects of his show. Um, Also, creatively, I was always a huge fan of animation and cartoons growing up. So, Mr. Rogers had Land of Make Believe, which was,
Mhm.
an element of whimsy and fantasy. So, I didn't want to completely copy Mr. Rogers, but also I am drawn to animation, drawn to, haha. And so I wanted to maybe use that as my version of whimsy and fantasy on this program.
I love it. And I love the hummingbird, how the hummingbird always just is kind of threw out there as a theme. And it's
Yeah,
definitely something that I felt like I noticed. I'm not sure if the kids noticed it so much as maybe it's just a subconscious thing for them. But can you talk about
you know
bringing
what?
in the hummingbird for that?
Absolutely, and I'm glad you brought that up because we've had so many conversations about the hummingbird and how prevalent do we have to make it in every episode. My hope is that over the course of episodes, they will see the pattern of the hummingbird appearing, and they will finally start clocking that, oh, it's when an act of kindness occurs. Um, the hummingbird kind of became our unofficial mascot because I love hummingbirds. I'm staring at them right now. I have a feeder right outside my window, and I must be near a nesting place for them because they will swarm around here. Like I'm looking at four right now,
Wow.
and they go through one feeder a day. So these things are going to put me in the poorhouse because I have to make this make this hummingbird juice every single day.
That's so cool. I love hummingbirds. I think I've only
Yeah.
seen a few in my life, but they're so
Oh,
cool.
and they really are. They are just wonders of science. They're like little. They're nature's drones.
Yes, I love that. I'm going to use that. I'm totally going to use that. Oh, I love it so much. So yeah, so what I love about this, so it's just the kindness thing, because like we kind of talked about earlier, we touched on earlier. There's just not a lot of that in the world now, and even kids on their iPads all the time, and they don't go out and hang out with each other. So I know we sort of touched on it, but like, what takeaways do you hope that kids either consciously or subconsciously get from the show overall?
Well, there's a couple things. One, I really do just want to demonstrate it doesn't take a huge amount of effort to do an act of kindness. It can be the tiniest gesture or word or anything. And so I would hope that when we see it as such an accessible thing and so easy to do, that it kind of becomes second nature for people and just, baked into their day to day interactions with people. And then also, I like the idea of the creativity that we use in finding kindness. It doesn't just have to be making a card for a neighbor. It can be in any single thing. I mean, one of the reasons I was so happy to call it Hello Jack, the kind of show. Hello Jack is really the most fundamental act of kindness that you can do. A warm,
Hmm.
sincere greeting to someone is the simplest thing. Children are familiar with it. They have been the recipients of it and hopefully the givers of it. And yeah, I really want them to just see how easy and accessible and fun it is to be kind. One of
Yeah.
the things, it's cool to be kind. Yeah.
It's cool to be kind. I love that. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, after watching the screeners yesterday, like I told you, we're on vacation and we're carrying our like takeout, bags, and my daughter, my 8 year old's like, I can carry them for you. And she would have never, I don't think, offered that, but it just felt like the show inspired that. So I wanted to tell you that.
Well, I know. Well, just little things. I really hope that, honestly, for us, just modeling that for viewers. I mean, just let them know it's easy. It's fun. It's something we can all do a little more every day. And I really hope that they get to see how it does inspire somebody else. So if your daughter is doing it because she saw somebody on the show today, then hopefully you talking about it, you were inspired by it. We just want to start that cascade of kindness, which is part of our curriculum. Connect, care, and cascade of kindness. Our three C's.
I love that. I love that. I hope so, because this world could definitely use it, especially after the last the last year and a half we've had was crazy. Uh,
Yeah,
it's been insane. Were there any like major challenges that the pandemic created trying to make this show get it all together?
well, logistically, absolutely. Um, we were actually able to benefit with having the time to write our episodes during
Mm.
most of 2020. And we can do that via Zoom, and just technologically speaking, there was a little bit more ease there. We started filming production, the live action portion, in February of 2021, and that, of course, did take a bit more caution. And
Hmm.
fortunately, between Apple and the COVID team that we brought in place, we got it done. And I was personally quite proud as someone kind of in charge of this that we got through it scot free and
Wow.
pretty seamlessly. So, were there challenges? Absolutely. Did we meet those challenges? Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's great, especially with kids because kids, well, now they can be vaccinated, but they couldn't be
Now,
vaccinated.
yeah,
Yeah.
not even a little bit. I mean, like the vaccines just started rolling out
I know. We
out
just
today.
got the
So,
email from the school saying we're going to have a vaccination clinic. And I was like, yay. But
I know, right?
finally. And then last thing I want to talk about is I know that you guys have like a kindness consultant on board. And can you kind of talk about that?
Yes. Oh, happily. I mean, like, I'll be honest, I'm pretty starstruck by Dr. Junlei Lee from Harvard. I've been taking a deep dive as I worked on this project. I was going to conferences for early childhood education and development. Dr. Lee was a speaker at one of the conventions I went to in 2018, and I was just taken by him. I was just smitten by everything he had to say. He had this entire audience captivated. And also at conferences like this, I'm not exaggerating. It's like me and 9,000 kindergarten teachers. And so it was kind of funny just be walking through the big halls. They're like, "Aren't you a TV person?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing homework. I'm doing homework." But Dr. Lee was just so inspiring. I loved everything he had to say. He has been working with the Fred Rogers programming, all those programs, and so he was a tremendous asset for us, a wonderful resource in looking at our scripts and talking to him about our stories, um, watching our episodes. He was just invaluable. I honestly cannot say enough good things about Dr. Lee. I mean, I'm starstruck by this guy. And like you can just listen to him talk for hours. He's very commanding in the gentlest way.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, seriously, for taking the time. And thank you for this program. I really hope that it inspires kindness, just like it did with, like I said, my daughters. Like, I think it was
There
a
you go.
totally
Oh,
subconscious thing. So,
well, please tell your daughter that I say thank you because that I mean, like, she's the focus group.
awesome. Well, I will. Thank you so much, Jack, for taking the time
Of
today. I,
course, Tessa.
I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Take care.
Thank you so much to all of my monetary supporters, my members here on YouTube, as well as my patrons. If you haven't joined yet, please consider doing so. We have some really awesome perks, including a monthly Zoom meeting where we get to talk face to face. Thank you again to everyone who supports me.